Good day, all of you. This is Rahul Reddy, the city head for CL Bangalore. We have with us Kedar, who's our student from CL Bangalore, and one of the toppers for CLAT 2022, who will be going to NLS to pursue his career in law. So, congratulations, Kedar.
Thank you,
And
sir.
tell me how it felt when you first saw your score and rank.
To be honest, actually anxious because I wasn't sure of the domicile rank as of yet at that point, and I was anxious. I kept like texting faculty and asking them would it go through, and but I think after the state ranks came out, I think we were all very happy and surprised, and I think we could sleep peacefully. And
Absolutely. I think given that it's extremely competitive and fairly long, this preparation,
hmm,
so there is, other than the happiness, is also a relief factor that yes,
yeah,
it's finally over,
it's finally over, and
done with, right?
the 2 years paid off.
Right. So, Kedar, when did you first start this idea of, I'm going to take up law?
This was towards the end of 10th, if I
Mm.
recollect. I think I was sure I wouldn't do engineering. That was something I never wanted to do.
Okay.
And being my mother is an advocate, so being in that background, it kind of made me feel like it's a very interesting thing, and I had something to give back to the society, and it would I could do well. And I think then I looked up online, and the first thing I could find is Career Launcher, and it was, I mean, it had the best reviews when I saw it. So I think even before I joined my first PU, I joined here, and then I decided that I would pursue CLAT and try my best to get into NLS.
So, given your mother is a lawyer, then probably there was not much resistance to your choosing a slightly offbeat choice.
No, in fact, she told me not to do it. She said
Okay.
parent and child should not do the same stream. So in fact, she dissuaded me from doing it. But in the end, she said, "Okay, it's your choice."
Good, good.
So
Right. So, right. So once you started, okay, so give me the highlights of the preparation. How did you plan, organize your preparation, and what are the things that really worked for you?
in the first year, there was not a lot of rigorous preparation. I think I just attended the classes and solved sectionals and tests, and it was just like a self-study kind of thing. It just went smoothly. I think towards the start of the second year, somewhere where CLAT 2021 happened, I met a few friends online, uh, and then we formed a study group, and then we decided that we would meet weekly and at some point daily to discuss GK, make a notebook, a digital notebook, and analyze mocks. So we used to take mocks, and then we used to decide when all of us used to take the mock, and then we had a big table where we jotted down the dates, saying, okay, this countdown mock say 10, and we all would meet at this set time, and we would analyze the mock, see where we went wrong, and see if someone had a better explanation, or then we used to discuss that. So that was one part of our preparation. Otherwise, the group study revolved largely around group mock analysis and GK. And for other sections, I think legal was not a problem ever. I think Animeso was really good, and all the concepts were perfect. He taught them perfectly. So legal was not a problem. I just kept solving the class sheets. But for logical and English, I think I did a lot of GMAT questions, LSAT questions, and of course, attended all the classes of yourself and Sridhar sir.
See, one thing I keep hearing is whenever there were law classes, it tends to be a pretty noisy classroom with lot of arguments and debates flying around. So, and some, newcomers would be worried. I said, look, this is normal. For law classes, this is what will happen. And the focus, I think, was always on getting into not just the law, but the reason behind the law, the spirit behind the law,
Correct.
and those kind of questions.
Yeah.
That helps get us, it
Good understanding of.
helps us look at law from the application perspective, not as a
Mm.
just as a sentence or set of sentences.
Yeah.
Good. Yes. So then throughout the time, obviously progress would not have been uh, linear. There would have been ups, there would have been downs also, right? And some point things like, okay, whatever I do, score doesn't improve. You had that moment?
Not really score doesn't improve, but it was shuttling between the 115s and sometimes the late 90s. So
Okay,
at that point, I think it was somewhere around October, November of 2021. So
right,
and that time school studies were hectic, so I couldn't give as much time I wanted to give for CLAT.
right.
And I think the term one board exams were going on, uh, and then I had to shift. I couldn't keep a time based schedule like I'll do 4 hours, 5 hours. I had to shift to like noting down tasks. Say, okay, I'll do this much today. I'll just finish it if it takes 3 hours or 6 hours. So I used to note down what I wanted to finish that day and then followed that. That became easier because I couldn't devote like a set 5 or 6 hours a day because of school schedules.
Get it. So I did speak to your study group friends today. So most of the experience of the GK part was there. So uh, you had something to show, right? The total GK that you had compiled.
Oh
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
I yeah,
To show.
we had compiled 1,400 pages of GK. I think we referred to like all sources,
Okay,
CL Manthans,
good,
then
good.
Dishti
That,
Compendium, I think every source we could actually get our hands and Indian Express Live Law. We used to divide and say, let's enter it. We need a compendium at the end which has everything. Let's refer to it later and read, and then we'll sort out important, unimportant, but we want everything to be there. So that
right.
was the
So
idea.
yeah, what is worth doing is worth overdoing. So, good. But then you have the paper stuff, right? I think Prem was talking about Evernote and keeping the
Yeah,
notes
that,
in.
that was yeah, that was the software. So we devised and we got the software called Evernote. So we used to all of us had access to it, and we used to enter everything into one note. And this was what we printed at the end.
At the end. Okay, right. Good. Right. Then let's come to the day of the exam. So where was the center?
And NLS Bangalore.
Ah, acha, acha. NLS Bangalore itself. Good. So once you reach the center, how nervous were you? Just before the
I think
exam, while waiting for the paper?
I wasn't very nervous. I was calm, and then thankfully I had Anirudh by my side. So we just spoke things that are not related to CLAT. So we calmed our mind down, and we just discussed random events. I think that day's cricket match or something. So we
So you
were
felt
not
good
discussing that.
at the end of the exam. You felt good.
At the end of the exam, I first there were doubts like would any of us cross 100,
Okay.
and then I then after going through the paper answer key, I thought I'd do well. Then I realized I made 4 OMR errors, so that was a big moment of truth, kind of
I
like
think
I
that's an
lost four
important
marks.
point, at least while thankfully it didn't cost you much.
Hmm.
But it is a point that we should uh, sort of remind all aspirants for 23 and 24 that practice with the OMR. Take mocks offline. Even if online is convenient, take at least sufficient number of mocks offline and practice transferring the questions from the question paper to
Hmm.
OMR. Second is don't try to transfer in bulk. Transfer one at a time or maybe four or five at a time. Just like one set at a time, five at a time.
I was doing 5 at a time, but actually I took all like 50, 60 mocks through OMR. But it turns out that the mistake that had to happen happened on the day of the exam and not during the mocks.
That's fine. Right. Good. So, any other final tips for aspirants going for 23? They have about 6 months now.
I think GK, I think have to even look at 2021, like what we studied, I think, because we had passages of CSR that were in 2020, which I think we hadn't covered. So I
Yes.
think rather than only the 6 months preceding 23, I think they should look at a broad uh, year for GK. And
True. But I think too much cannot be drawn from that one passage because, see, finally, CSR wasn't even that significant even in that year.
uh,
And then there is no continuing significance. It's not been debated in the
mm,
last 1.5 year, but for
yeah.
some reason they managed to pick it. So
And
issues of continuous significance I can understand, but this one, yeah. But, hmm.
and otherwise I think it's good to keep at it. I think even the day before the exam I solved some sectionals on the aspiration page, and I went through some of the old mocks. I was just looking through the GK and solved the old quant section,
But
and
you've
I
given
think
all the marks of CL, right? You've not missed marks at all.
no, I haven't missed any.
I think that's important advice. Is significant number of students who kind of take the marks lightly or not give enough of them. So that I think is good.
And I made it a point like to get write at least 90% of them in the CL center, because having people around you and that classroom atmosphere is different. There's going to be some kind of pressure, and you have competitors next to you. So I made it a point to take it in the center, because at home we'll be alone on the study table and not no one around. That's a completely different environment. So I
True.
think taking mocks at the center is a good idea.
That's really good advice. So good. That's thank you so much, Kedar. I'm
Thank you
sure
so
useful viewing for aspirants for 23 and later. And once again, on all our behalf, best wishes. Have 5 very, very good, fun-filled years at NLS and a good
much.
career after that.
Thank you so much, sir.